Hey, welcome back. Video number 6 in the classical guitar series that we're doing here. In the last video, we talked about reading music for the guitar. We talked about all of the notes and what those look like on the treble staff on the top 3 strings. In this video, we're going to talk about essentially the same thing, but we're going to talk about the bottom 3 strings. This is going to take a little bit of extra time because we have to read these ledger lines. We'll go through that a little bit more in a second. Really quickly, let's just start with the one string that actually doesn't have any ledger lines, fortunately, is the 4th string. So the top 3 strings, 1, 2, and 3, were all in the staff, and then this G on the E string went right on top of the staff, and on the 4th string, the D string, this takes us right to the bottom of the staff. And so on the D string, if you check out this visual, open D sits right below the staff, so exactly opposite where that high G is sitting. It's just directly below. And then if you remember, starting on the lines, every good boy does fine. After that D comes this E on the very first line, and then on the very first space where we're starting face is this F. So the start of the staff is going to be located right here on the 4th string, this D, this E, and this F. So continuing downward, the next note that we would get if we went F, E, D, moving backwards alphabetically is C. And that C starts the first ledger line below the staff. So that is going to look like a whole note or whatever sort of note. In this diagram, it's a whole note, and it's got a line through it. That just indicates that first ledger line. Directly below that is what would be sort of the space below a ledger line. And so that is indicated with just one line right on top of the note, and that's that B. We're continuing to move backwards alphabetically, and then after that, 2 ledger lines down is the A, and that's our open A string. So for me, a really good way to memorize where the ledger lines are is getting really familiar with my open strings. So pay careful attention and try to get really comfortable that 2 ledger lines down is this A. And that'll help you sort of have a position that you're really comfortable with, so you can figure out, right above that is the B, and then 1 ledger line down is the C. So moving further down from the A, we have below the 2nd ledger line, the G, below that, the F, and so the F is on the 3rd ledger line down, and then right below that is the open E, and so that's right below the 3rd ledger line. And again, just like the A, I like to get really familiar with where my open strings are. That sort of gives me a reference point for all of the other notes in between. So I know that below 3 ledger lines is E, and any notes in between that note and the 2nd ledger line, this A, I'm probably going to be dealing with the 6th string, so that F and that G. Even if there were sharps or flats though, I would be playing them there on the 6th string, and then after that A, we're starting on that A for the most part, I'm going to be considering using the 5th string, so on and so forth. One other thing that's really helpful to think about with these ledger lines is just like the spaces in the staff spell face, the ledger lines sort of also spell that. So that E that starts every good boy does fine, if you sort of go backwards, that's on a line. The line below that is C, below that is A, below that is F. So 3 ledger lines down, F, 2 is A, 1 is C, and then right on the staff is E. So you get face again there, just like you do in the staff. And some people find that helpful. At times, I find that helpful myself. Best thing to do in this, again, is just sort of go through and look at this diagram, call out the note names, and just get really familiar with connecting the tactile and the auditory response, so playing those as well, just connecting those with what you're seeing on the visual in front of you. Happy practicing.